Hi, this is Paol Seagram for mydrawingtutorials.com. In this lesson, we'll be learning how to paint a sky of clouds. For this painting, we'll be needing these four colors: titanium white, brilliant blue, black, and brilliant red. The brushes we'll be using today are these: the flat, beveled edge, painter's high-quality sable brush, the flat, small acrylic brush, the flat fan brush, the small detail brush, and the flat head soft brush. I created this background for a cloud-filled sky by mixing blue and white, basically, and filling in the positive areas, rather, and leaving the negative for the clouds in the white canvas. We will begin to fill those in a minute, but we wanted a solid blue with a little bit of blue below, just a general sketch in paint, and then we'll begin the painting of the clouds. So in painting clouds, I still have a bit of the blue from the sky in my brush, which is a good way to start, but I'm going to get some more water in it and kind of swirl it out of the brush a bit, but keeping a little in there. And I'm going to go squeeze the water out of the brush, and I'm going to go right into the white with a little blue, and I'm going to start fluffing out those clouds as a beginning. Keeping in mind that nothing has to be perfect right off the bat. It's just the general layout. Making it very soft, using the brush almost like a powder brush. Scratching it in, leaving some of the blue areas. So I'm overlaying my white with blue in it over the edge of the original layout, just to get a sort of a soft blending, which it does very nicely. It's already beginning to look like clouds. You can choose your own shapes, you don't have to copy mine. So we're dragging this into sort of a striated feeling across the bottom. That gives a feeling of movement and great distance. There we have a basic background for clouds. Now at this point, I'm going to add a little more sky color and give it an overlay to soften down our original sky with blue and white. Very kind of a wet approach, just to soften it all down. Okay. While it's still wet, I'm going to go back in again and start adding some definition, some shadow at the bottoms of these areas, just a slightest amount, and a little bit more white on the tops again, pushing it back up again. We have a light source. In this case, it's coming in from this way. I'm going to add some other tops in here by just using the tip of the brush with some thick paint. More interest. Clear white. Again, on the side where the sun is shining. Okay, we're going to let that sit for a minute. Now for our next step, I'm going to mix in some shadows for underneath, and I'm going to use what I call a lavender gray. So I'm going to be using my blue, my white, a hint of red, and possibly a hint of black to create a very soft lavender gray. We can start with white again. I'm going to keep my brush as is, so we're mixing all into the same colors. And I'm going to pinch just the very tip of the brush in the red, because red's a very powerful pigment, and just a tip of the brush in the blue, and a little bit more red. And do a little at a time, you get the right effect. Okay, there's a nice, getting into lavender shades, tones. Okay, may not need black. Now we need a lot more white again. I suggest buying the extra large white tube when you begin, because you will need it over and over and over. You'll use more white than anything. Okay, there's a nice gray, soft gray. So we're going to work that in. I think I'm going to, now that I've used my big brush to do that, I'm going to use a smaller brush to mix it in. This one, which is a flat brush. It's a medium strength. And I'm going to take some of this color and start working it underneath. I want just a little more lavender, a little more blue. It's a little grayer than I liked. Let's try that. There we go. Nice. More white. Perfect. These are the gray indicates on the underside of clouds where when the sun is hitting it this way, indicates thickness of the clouds. There's moisture in the clouds, and so that's density. But the light is not penetrating all the way through. So from Earth, we see it as gray from our perspective. Soften. Let it soften. Some white in it. I'm just masking it in here, giving more depth. The underbelly of the cloud, so to speak. Gives a lot more depth. We're going to work more white into it in a bit, but for now we're just placing it. A little bit of texture. I've downsized my brush for this. And there's less paint in the brush now, so just a tad of water so we can sort of back paint it, so to speak. That gives much more dimension to these cloud tops by sort of underpainting it, shading. And I've got a little more water in my brush now, so it's softer, softens the whole effect. And some more white again now. Let's work that in. Soften this down with some white. Gives more dimension to the clouds. Keeping the white towards the top of the bank. Just softening all of what we've already done. Just putting a little bit of white into that gray now, just to give it more ruffles and rolls. Some down below. Okay, now I've got my brush quite wet. I'm just adding little bits of it's really wet. Just little bits of extra texture, especially on the lower areas. Quite wet. So it sits there and makes these little gatherings and splotchy kind of effects. That adds a lot of depth to the cloud. And I'm leveling this out because there is convection that makes the clouds float just above the surface of the earth. So there's still, once again, a bit of a horizontal quality at the bottom of your painting. Okay, we're going to switch brushes now. I'm going to put this one in the water for the moment so it doesn't get all gummed up. And I'm going to pull this out, this little fan brush, and these two flat ones, and I'm going to experiment to see which one feels right. I want a certain amount of give to the brush, but still some resilience. This feels very soft, so this might be good with its spread. I'll give that a try first. Just see how it feels for the tops. And get a nice effect there. And I want to try the others as well. This one, try this. Yeah, I like that one better. So a lot of painting is experimenting. Every painting can come out completely different as well, and they should. Really hard to duplicate your own work exactly. Why I say why not let it flow, let it be what it wants to be. We're putting some light on the tops of these clouds now. I'm really kind of pushing, dabbing and pushing the brush outward and upward, then pulling it down. A little bit of streaks in here. Creating interest down below. I like this bit of a direction to the streaks. Just a little bit here and there. Some more updraft. Kind of a swirling motion. You see, leave a couple actual streaks that are thicker paint. Just let them sit on there. That's a nice effect. Gives a feeling of movement. Just a little bit of weather. And it gives a shiny quality to the piece. A little extra highlight. Some of these edges. Again, I'm laying it on, it's kind of thick here. Put some down here. Just work that in. This might be ocean over the sky over the ocean. It might be part of this air movement over the land. We don't know. You could put a nice landscape below here if you wanted to. Just the indication of the tops of some mountains peeking up, or a desert or a field. Or a cityscape. Those are fun to do. Now I want to switch brushes again for a moment. I'm going to go back to that fan brush, and I want to put a little, get a little streaking from that. Just a very little bit. Just give it some interest. Okay, I'm switching brushes. I'm going into this fine detail brush just to add a little more highlights as I've begun here. Touch of water into the white, keeping it really very liquidy. And I'm going to just mush some more in, just some accents that I want to see. Just little bits here and there, give it a little more interest, a little highlight. Just kind of let the brush move around. There's no real direction to it. Just kind of little squiggles. Just like ruffles. I don't know what to call it, like texture of an ice cream cone maybe. See how effective that is in a grayish area? Just adds just a little more life and light. And this is a good point when you might want to step back from your painting and step 3 or 4 feet back, because you see and get an overall effect, and you can say, oh, I want a little more white here like I just did. You can see that I needed that. Maybe a little bit here also. Okay, I think that's pretty good for that, and I want to darken this up a bit, so I'm going to go back to, lay this brush aside. I'll go back to my medium soft flat brush, and I'm going to go Put a little more of that gray, a tad of blue, a dot of red. We've got the lavender, blue, and gray again. And I want to make this just a little bit more play it down a little. And a little bit of a line is coming out. I like that. Break up the line a little. Could be a storm front. We don't know. More water. Now put a little more white in that. With some of that striation movement. And again, you can do whatever you want. It's your sky. See, I'm pulling this down from the same sort of angle, so it's as if the light were coming through somehow. Sometimes just one stroke is all you need to give an effect, a great effect. I like that. And then maybe just a little bit here and there. Not much. Just to add interest to this very simple base. Keeping a direction. Okay. Now, I think that's good. And I'm going to go back and give the sky a new coat just to smooth it all out. So I'm going to wash out this brush a bit. We'll make some more sky color. There's our blue and our white. We'll need more white again. So here, one can use a smaller brush for finishing, smoothing, softening. And we're going to let that work it into the clouds just a little bit for softness on some of the edges. See how soft the sky's getting now. Everything's becoming softer. There really is quite a bit of lavender in the sky. If you look closely to it, the blue of the sky has a bit of lavender in it. And that's because it's backlit or darkened by the void of space, which appears to be blue because of our atmosphere. It is not. It's actually just black. It's no color, no light. Okay, there's our sky. Now I'm going to step back for a minute and take a pause and look it over and see if I want to add anything else. Okay, coming back to the painting, I'm going to experiment just slightly by enhancing a little bit of darker gray in a couple areas. I'm going to start with the blue I just used for the background and put a touch of black in it. And second touch of black in it. And a touch of red to make depth. And I come in here on the bottom and just fill in a couple areas of the darker gray just to give it a little bit of impact, especially towards the bottom. Again, there we go. I like that. Just a little bit here and there. Gives a little more drama to the work. Down here especially. There we go. Just gives a little more excitement to the piece. And I think that's good. I hope you enjoy the lesson. For more acrylic painting tutorials, be sure to sign up for our free newsletter. Go to mydrawingtutorials.com/acrylic or click the link in the description. Till next time, happy painting!